How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Joe Talks Sedgley Tigers. Last week was the second round of the National One League and Derby Day at Park Lane, where we saw the Tigers host Sale FC for the first time this season. The last time these teams met was back in December. That score was 14-12, so 2 wins at home on the trot for the Tigers against Sale FC. That game has left Sedge in 9th place as they didn't manage to pick up any bonus points. And Sale are now sitting in 10th as they managed to pick up the 2 bonus points, one for the tries and one for the losing difference. Like I said, this is the second time that Tigers were able to defeat their bitter Manchester rivals. But according to their track record, both teams only seem to be able to win at home. Perhaps that's due to having the home crowd behind them. But an interesting statistic nonetheless. To put it bluntly, Sale took too long to get into the game. They weren't able to match Tigers' opening intensity, and by the time they did, it was too late. They only managed to get within 5 points of their hosts by the end of the game. It was Tigers scrum half Jacob Tansey who opened up the scoring for that game. He was assisted by Zane Ainsley for a nice little first try under the sticks. That was converted by Ollie Glass, of course, to put the Tigers ahead 7-0. One of the things that really separated these teams last weekend was their kicking form. Obviously, Ollie Glass is a very reliable kicker and is rumoured to have one of the best, or if not the best, kicking success rate in the National One League. His confidence on the tee was definitely one of the defining factors that contributed to Tigers' win on the weekend. Obviously, Sale only being able to pick up 1 conversion of the 4 tries they scored, whereas Glass had a 100% kicking rate on penalties and conversions. So it was Glass's strong kicking form and his confidence on the ball in open play earned him the title of Star Man on the day as well. So congrats to him. Sale were fairly quick to reply though with a try of their own, however no conversion. Without being too nasty, I think Sale were really let down by their kicking, to be honest, leaving 6 points on the table out of an available 8. Those 6 points would have given the win, so that wouldn't have been the only thing that contributed to their defeat, but it was certainly an important factor. Next to score was Sam Thorpe. He picks up his first try for the Tigers this season over on the wing. And Sale was still yet to shift into racing gear as Glass put over another penalty to extend their lead. It was at this point that Sale's fullback Tom Brady reset the tone for Sale with a bold solo try, crashing through the Tigers' defensive line and scoring with an outstretched arm. But again, still no conversion. Well, I will say though, Sale, as always, showed strength in the scrum and in the breakdown and showed some real flair and speed on the ball once they managed to get it out of that contact area. But the Tigers' consistent ability to shut that down and their up-front defence suffocating Sale's attack line prevented them from doing that and essentially prevented them from creating as many scoring opportunities as they might have been able to. Zane Ainsley rounded out the second half with another try, his second of the season. That, of course, was converted to put the score at 24-10 at halftime. Second half saw really heavy rainfall at Park Lane, almost from the moment the players re-entered the pitch. But I was glad to see that Ben Gregory, Tigers number 2, his line-out form was much better this week and didn't suffer through the rain. However, it being so wet, that will have affected both teams fairly evenly. Another penalty from Ollie Glass early on in the second half put the Tigers 3 tries ahead only minutes into the second half. However, stubborn as ever, Sale were down but not out as they picked up 2 more tries from Evan Minton and Nathan Langdon to round up the game. But unfortunately, like I say, Tigers were already 3 tries ahead, so that just wasn't enough for the Dogs to bring it back. To put it bluntly, Sale came close, but not close enough. Picked up 2 bonus points, but no spoils. Tigers were just the better team on the day. A strong first win for Tigers sets them up nicely for their first away day this weekend against Leeds Tykes, who are the newcomers to the National One League. Tigers will have faced them at least a couple times in previous years during their time in National 2. Obviously, Tykes have just been promoted. Tigers will have faced Tykes a couple times, at least in previous years during their time in National 2. But I caught up with Starman Ollie Glass last weekend, and he had this to say about them.
Obviously, they'll be up for it. Don't know if they've played. I think they lost at home last week, maybe. So yeah, they'll be looking for the win at home. But we'll just go away any like it's every game. Treat it like any game. Sorry. No emotional spike, and bring our level, work on our KPIs, and just work on what we can do to win the game.
Going into this weekend, Leeds Tykes are currently sitting in 13th on the table after 2 consecutive losses. 12-45 to Plymouth Albion, that was obviously at home, and 52-12 to Rotherham Titans away. So really rough start for the newcomers and a tough first two matches. Plymouth and Rotherham, both very strong sides, obviously. But every newcomer is expected to suffer a little bit when they first enter this league. Obviously, there's a massive skill gap between National 1 and National 2. Tigers saw that last season, and now Tykes are experiencing the same thing. So with all due respect to the Tykes, this weekend should be a breeze for the Tigers, who are now a very well-established and strong team in the National 1 League. And that'll be a nice change for them with two really tough games behind them. A couple of changes for the Tigers going into this weekend. Danny Rylance is starting at prop instead of Belters Nonley this week. Obviously, he started on the bench last weekend and was and came on as a sort of a finisher. I imagine those roles will be reversed this week. Sam Thorpe will be starting for Nathan Pope at centre this week. Picked up his first try of the season last weekend. That was obviously enough to impress head coach Scott Barrow to put him in the starting lineup. Pope actually not featuring on the lineup at all, but I imagine he will go along anyway, either as a travelling reserve or just in support of his team. And last but not least, Alex Benbatouche will be starting on the bench for Will Riley this week. I personally have never actually had the opportunity to see Alex play. I know the man very well, but I've never seen him on the pitch in a Tiger shirt. Obviously, last season he spent most of his time with the twos, and now has obviously had the call up to the ones. So very excited to see what he could bring to the table for the Tigers once he comes on the pitch. As for the Tykes, they've got a raft of new signings appearing this weekend. First being Tom Davis, who is a hooker, joining them from Sale Sharks. He's starting on the bench as probably an impact forward for the second half. Patrick Spice is a centre that has had a couple of appearances already in Tykes' pre-season games. He's also starting on the bench, so as a replacement centre. Will Yates joins the Tykes from Hull Ionians. He's starting on the wing, as is Sam Taylor, another winger who comes from Otley RFC. He's starting on the bench though, and with him comes Eddie Crossland, who is starting at 10, also from Otley RFC. So that's all we can really say about the Tykes so far. Obviously, they've not had the best start to the National 1 League, but a lot of new talent and a new team for the Tigers to test themselves against. I'm excited to see what Tykes brings to the table and what Tigers can do for their first game on the road, travelling all the way to Leeds. But I wish the boys best of luck, and for those of you that do tune into the live stream, the next home game for Tigers will be on the 27th of September against Clifton. So for the fans of the stream, I'll see you pitch side. Otherwise, see you guys next week.